Namaste and a very warm good afternoon, viewers. As part of the Dekho Apna Desh webinars hosted by the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, we have been bringing to you the many colors and hues of our incredible India. Today, as we celebrate the International Day of Yoga 2020, which is tomorrow, we have the privilege of having with us today Sadhguru, who shall be sharing with us his vast knowledge and wisdom on Bharat, a cultural treasure. Namaskar, Sadhguru.
Namaskaram.
Sharing their thoughts and seeking vision of Sadhguru on our ancient and rich civilization today are the Honorable Minister of Tourism and Culture, Shri Prahlad Singh Patel ji. Namaskar, sir. Chairman and Managing Director of SpiceJet, Mr. Ajay Singh. Mr. Ajay Singh. Founder and Group CEO of Oyo Hotels, Mr. Ritesh Agarwal. Good afternoon, Ritesh. Ms. Anita Dongre, the international fashion designer, and Mr. Ranveer Brar, he's a celebrity chef. And last but not the least, on our panel today, we have Ms. Ranju Alex. She's Market Vice President of Marriott Hotels International. We welcome all the panelists. Viewers, India offers a unique blend of science and culture to establish the well-being of an individual. Before we start the conversation with Sadhguru, team of Isha Foundation has a short video on a sacred space, the Isha Yoga Center. Team, can we please play the video?
How exactly does one build a sacred space? At the Isha Yoga Center, ancient techniques have been revived to create a timeless space, one designed to stand for many millennia. The Dhyanalinga is the focal point of the Yoga Center, the Moolasthana of the Kshetra, the first of its kind to be completed in thousands of years. Dhyana means meditation, and Linga means the form. A doorway to enlightenment, Dhyanalinga creates the possibility to experience life in its totality. The Dhyanalinga dome is built without cement, steel, concrete, or pillars, just 180,000 bricks and mud mortar, stabilized with additives. At the entrance of the Dhyanalinga, one encounters the Sarvadharma pillar, embodying the essence of spirituality beyond sectarianism. A few steps away sits Nandi, relaxed yet intense, the embodiment of meditativeness. A sacred journey begins with a purifying dip. The Surya Kund and Chandra Kund are energized water bodies. Unique in form, they are built with massive 50-ton granite blocks. To the southeast is Linga Bhairavi, an exuberant expression of the divine feminine. Within her abode, Devi is manifested as a linga, a unique form for the mother goddess.
The architecture is just a play of geometry. Right now, all the buildings here, it is not standing because of the strength of its material. It is standing only because of the perfectness of the geometry. That's the beauty of what we're doing here.
The entire ashram is itself a symphony of geometry and alignment. Spanda Hall is a 44,000 square foot program venue. The design reflects the essence of yoga as a technology for inner engineering. Outside in the garden is a massive rock.
I just looked at one particular rock. I fell in love with the rock. I said, I want her. And these people carried this rock and brought it.
120 tons over 150 kilometers. No cranes or big machines, just oil jacks, enthusiasm, and ingenuity. The center also houses the Isha Home School, a scene of conscious chaos in design and activity. It creates a vibrant ambience for learning. The Isha aesthetic manifests on the other side of the globe too. Mahima, a 39,000 square foot meditation hall, is the first of its kind in the West. Adi Yogi Temple is a tribute to Adi Yogi, the first yogi and guru, a being whose contribution to raising human consciousness is unparalleled. Dominating the 30,000 square foot space is a 21-foot likeness of Adi Yogi. Designed, constructed and transported from India, it is only the first of many.
The science of yoga brings the highest level of exuberance, an absolute stillness and an internal intoxication at the same time. So, we wanted to create a face which will exude these three qualities of stillness, exuberance and intoxication.
I request the Prime Minister to present Adi Yogi, the source of yoga, to the world.
112 feet, because Adi Yogi offered 112 ways through which a human being can attain to one's highest possibility. As an acknowledgement, and above all, as a tool to transmit these possibilities to the world, an iconic presence is needed to bring this science to humanity. This is a movement from narrow religious divide to a universal responsibility.
There is no need for you to innovate anything. If you just have enough observation and perception for all the fantastic design that is everywhere in every leaf, if you just simply imitate what's in nature, it'll be too phenomenal. People will think you're a genius, but you're a copycat. That's all it takes.
The source of yoga. Thank you, Team Isha. May I now request Honorable Union Minister Shri Prahlad Singh Patel ji to kindly welcome Sadhguru and start the proceedings today with his opening remarks and thought. Sir.
पर्यटन मंत्रालय की तरफ से मंत्री होने के नाते कि हमारा सबका सौभाग्य आज है कि पूज्य सद्गुरु का सानिध्य मिलेगा। मन में हमारे या दुनिया के प्रश्नों को जो जिनके कारण हम परेशान रहते हैं उनको ढूंढने का हमें अवसर मिला है। मैं पूज्य सद्गुरु के चरणों में प्रणाम करता हूँ और मैं बहुत लंबी बात ना करते हुए मेरे इस अवसर पर जो लोग उपस्थित, अजय सिंह जी, छोटे भाई ओ के एमडी रितेश जी, डोंगरी जी, रणबीर बरार जी, रंजू एलेक्स जी और जो लोग सुन रहे हैं, मैं उन सब का हृदय से स्वागत। और पूज्य सद्गुरु जी के को मैं कोई चीज कह नहीं सकता, तो मेरे आराध्य परम पूज्य श्री श्री बाबा श्री जी की वाणी मुझे याद आई। उन्होंने कहा कि युक्ति से मुक्ति मिलती है, रिक्ति से नहीं, खालीपन से मुक्ति नहीं मिलती। और मैं सोच रहा था कि शायद यही मेरा प्रश्न होगा कि मैं ये ऐसा मानता हूं कि हमारा अपना प्रारब्ध, हमारे पूर्वजों की दी हुई ज्ञान संपदा और हमारा पुरुषार्थ, यही युक्तियों को प्राप्त करने का माध्यम है। और जब मैं इनको समग्र रूप से देखता हूं तो आज की वर्तमान की दुनिया में चाहे कोई बीमारियां हों या अवसाद के क्षण जिसमें लोग दवा भी लेते हैं और नशा भी लेते हैं, लेकिन अवसाद और तनाव समाप्त नहीं होता, तब मुझे लगा कि जहां असाध साध बन जाए वो सिर्फ योग हो सकता है। ये हमारे मनीषी ऋषि मुनि कहते रहे। हमें योग अपने पूर्वजों से, जिन्हें हम ऋषि और मनीषी और मुनि कहते हैं, उनसे प्राप्त हुआ है। 7 समुंदर पार पूज्य के जैसे महान आत्माओं के द्वारा योग को पहुंचाया गया। लेकिन मुझे इस बात का गर्व है कि देश के हमारे प्रधानमंत्री, हमारे नेता, उनने दुनिया को मनवाने का काम किया और पूरी दुनिया ने, और उसमें भी 178 देशों ने विश्व ऋषि मुनि थे, पहुंचाने वाले हमारे सदगुरु जैसे मनीषी थे, लेकिन मनवाने का काम जिसके प्रधानमंत्री किया है, मैं उनके प्रति भी अपना आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। और मैं ये मानता हूं, अंत में फिर मैं अपने आराध्य परम पूज्य श्री वावसी जी की इस वाणी के साथ अपनी बात को खत्म करूंगा। में मंथन करने से जो विचार आते हैं, वो आदमी की जिज्ञासा, पश्य जिज्ञासु हो जाता है। वह जिज्ञासु योगी होता है। वो प्रारब्ध से लेकर वर्तमान में भी जीता है और भविष्य की सकारात्मक ऊर्जा के प्रति भी अपने यात्रा को जारी रखता है। सदगुरु का सानिध्य इसी ऊर्जा का स्रोत है। मैं उनसे यही विनती करूंगा, हम जो सुन रहे हैं, देख रहे हैं, सब में उसी ऊर्जा के चैतन्य करने का सामर्थ्य रखते हैं, तो पत्थरों में प्राण प्रतिष्ठा करने का सामर्थ्य आप में है। और वही शायद हमने इस 7 मिनट के वीडियो में देखा है। मैं आपको नमन करते हुए फिर से आपका सिर्फ योग दिवस को नहीं बनाएगा, हम सबके जीवन की यात्रा में अपनी बात को समाप्त करता हूँ। प्रणाम।
Prahlad ji, I'm very sorry, but as it is, my Hindi is bad. On top of it, the audio has not been kind at all to us. So I only understood parts of it. Thank you very much anyway for the great words that you're saying.
प्रणाम।
Rupinder ji, you're on mute.
Okay. Thank you so much for that reminder. Well, we have viewers today with us, somebody who takes us traveling across destinations, connecting us with our families, people, and showcasing the beautiful land that is India. And so I bring to the first point that we need, because when COVID is behind us, we need to start traveling soon. Ajay Singh ji, what are your reflections on the role of civil aviation and how should we take it forward with the whole thing in COVID times?
Firstly, I must express my gratitude to you for inviting me to this panel. I'm a huge admirer of Sadhguru ji, and he's such an incredible personality. We really look to him for answers to complicated questions in our lives. And he's both, one of those few who's both ancient and modern, and looks at the world in a, from a perspective that is just so interesting and so admirable. As far as civil aviation is concerned, as all of you know, civil aviation is an integral part of tourism. It's an integral part of joining our country together, joining different parts of our country together, and that's what's exciting. To go and join Sikkim to India through air, or to join Andaman, or to join Ladakh and Leh to the mainstream. That is the role of tourism. It's basically a uniter, and that's how we look at it. As you know, this is the first of the activities which has been started after lockdown. We are currently operating about 30% of our flights. Those flights are about 70% full. And increasingly, we will start to connect in interesting ways different parts of our country and the world to India. We are now looking at seaplanes to connect places which can't be connected by road. We are looking at helicopter operations. We are looking to see how we can use civil aviation really to connect our nation. And I would really, we ask Sadhguru all sorts of complex questions. We ask him for answers to things which really bedevil us. But I would really like to ask him something a lot simpler today. And I don't know how many people know that Sadhguru is actually a pilot himself. So he's one of us. He's a helicopter pilot. Uh, we are delighted that he should be part of our community. So I would like to ask him really what excites him about flying. And I also want to ask him, once this lockdown is over and we actually try and dekho apna desh, we actually go and try and see our country. What are the wonderful places that he's been to that he would recommend that all of us actually go and see once in our lifetimes within our country?
Namaskaram. Namaskaram to all of you. Well, about flying well, the flying madness caught me when I was just 12, 13 years of age, and I looked at a plan at that time in the Popular Mechanics as to how to build a hang glider and then fly. It took me almost 3.5 years to build one. This was built out of parachute silk and bamboo and all kinds of contraption. It's a huge contraption. And I took it near Nandi Hills, near Bangalore, and tried to fly it. Well, I did fly for approximately, I think about 22 to 23 seconds. I was in the air and then I crashed. It just folded up and I broke both my ankles, and that was my first aviation experience. So I came back in another 2 years and bought a well-built hang glider from a French builder, and then I did do hang gliding. And well, the fascination of flying mainly came because I spent so much time in nature, in the forests in South India, particularly in the Western Ghats. And always, of all the creatures, the birds seem to have kind of advantage over me. The snakes excited me, but they were crawling, I could catch them. Well, the other mammals, elephants, tigers, I saw them, but they're fine. They're grand animals by themselves. But always it's the bird which kind of always beyond you. So I wanted to fly like them but I knew I didn't have wings. So aviation has been on my mind, but then I became deeply meditative when I was 23, 24 years of age. Then I lost interest in flying because I could simply close my eyes and do whatever I want. I became like that. So once again, wanting to fly by myself, came back much later. So I got my rotary wing helicopter license just about nine years ago, I think. So I'm still have a active license, but I'm not able to fly in India because the laws in India, the aviation laws in India, I'm sorry I speak like this. For me, it seems like it was made before the Wright brothers came. Because everything possible to see that we don't fly. But I still fly in United States because I have a FAA license. I think because you were talking, Ajay was talking about using helicopter tourism, which I think is very vital for this country. Instead of building high investment airports and things, helicopters will be very vital. And Ritesh is here, if helicopters can land on the hotel, because this is a serious problem. If you land in Bangalore city, for example, for you to get to the hotel takes 2 hours. I would rather drive. If I ride my motorcycle from here, from Coimbatore to Bangalore, I'm there in 4 hours. Here I wait for 1 hour in the airport, fly for 45 minutes and take 2 hours to get to the airport. But if I had a helicopter that flies from here, in 50 minutes I would be in the hotel where I want to be, wherever the conference or event is. Unfortunately, the advantage of what aviation is, especially rotary wing aviation is completely unutilized. Maybe some in remote places like Kedar and Leh, Ladakh, they're using, but high altitude is not necessarily the best place for rotary wing aviation. But Nepal, we are there every year trekking. Nepal is using helicopter aviation as a massive, tourist attraction for trekkers and for various other people. I think India should exploit this because the kind of terrain we have, what fantastic terrain we have, most people are unaware of in this in the country. A large segment of people, when they would travel to big cities or pilgrim places or something. Most of the travelers in India, even those who travel regularly, have not seen the most incredible spaces in India, like the Northeast India or the Himalayan ranges and the Western Ghats. From Maharashtra down to Kerala, I have trekked this region extensively and ridden on the motorcycles many times. And there is no place like this, I'm telling you. I've traveled all over the world. Western Ghats is one of the most unique and fantastic spaces, completely unexploited tourism-wise. So mining and other industries which are heavily damaging for the region are slowly creeping up out there. If you do it as a tourism place in a controlled manner, particularly if you take away the traffic from the road by bringing helicopters and stuff like that, I think we could do a lot. About where I would like people to go to, well, at one time I just traveled across India without destinations, just from where I was to the borders of the country, this way, that way, Nepal border, Pakistan border, everything I went on my motorcycle. So I know this country in a certain way. Because I was not looking for anything, I was not going to a particular destination, simply I rode, just enjoying the terrain and the people and the culture of the place. So from that experience, I would say Himalayan ranges, definitely every Indian must go. It's an endless labyrinth of roads endlessly going. I think roads have become much wider, easier to drive, but in the past it used to be such an excitement. As I said, the mountain ranges, both Himalayas and Western Ghats, totally different, diametrically different, but absolutely exciting terrain to go to. If people are interested in terrain, wildlife, these are the places to go to. But India as a tourism destination is a significant place for culture tourism. I feel we have not even exploited a tiny segment of what is possible there. If you are interested in spiritual spaces and things like that, temples and stuff, well, Tanjavur temple, the Konark temple, the Kailash in Ajanta region, these are unmatched anywhere in the world. There is no such places anywhere on the planet in terms of engineering and in terms of intricacy. Belur Halebeedu in Karnataka, there aren't places like that anywhere in the world. But unfortunately, we have not marketed. All around, tin shacks have come up in the form of, somebody who's selling vada, bonda, all this kind of stuff. There is no proper accommodations, there is not even a proper educating kind of guide who'll make it very interesting for you. There's hardly anybody there. I think if we focus on these things, there are immense possibilities. And rural India, we have just not exploited rural India because every district of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, if you go, in every district, the cooking methods are different, farming methods are different in many places, the way they dress, the way they speak, everything is different. In terms of culture, the variety that we have, if we don't harness this now, because everybody is going to the same type of school, in another 50 years or even 25 years probably, all Indians will start looking same. Already in the cities, if you look at people below their knees, I would say almost 40% of the people are all in blue denims. They're not wearing any different types of clothes anymore, it's all gone. So this culture, the variety of clothing, food, language that we have is an immense possibility. Well, at one time we made a whole lot of presentations to Tamil Nadu government, but I don't think we have made a concerted effort towards this. As a nation, for the kind of population that we have and naturally very accepting and welcoming kind of culture that we have, if we exploit tourism in its real sense, right now I think it's just what, $10 billion, is it, the turnover? Is that it?
Yes,
No.
sir, 10 billion, 10 billion.
No, I think it's more than that. The whole tourism segment, I'm sorry, it's more than that, 250 billion, I think. 250 billion including aviation sector. Well, I think at least 25 to 40% 25 to 30% at least, we can make it tourism revenue for this country. For the kind of population we have, we can create services like nobody else. For the kind of cultural artifacts and monuments that we have, endless amount. Most Indians do not know what is in India. In the sense, for example, how many people know there is something called as Kumbhalgarh, where there is the second largest wall in the world is in India? Wall of China, Great Wall of China, everybody knows. Second biggest wall in the world is in India. How many Indian children ever read about it in their history books or in their geography books or whatever? Nothing like that. So unfortunately, it has not happened because it's not come into school education, it's not come into college education, and our tourism marketing agencies have been only marketing those already well-known. If you say India, they'll say Taj Mahal. I am nothing against Taj Mahal, it's a wonderful jewel, it is a fine place, but Taj Mahal is not of interest to every kind of tourist. Not everybody is interested in seeing a jewel-like building. Some people are excited, but a whole lot of people are not. I have heard so many Americans come to India just for Taj Mahal. When they go back there, what's the big deal about this? It's as good as seeing a photograph, these kind of talks. But the excitement for the international tourism is the culture, the range of food, the range of language, range of textiles, everything that we have. We need to exploit this. If Ajay is asking me which is a must-go place for Indians, well, if you're looking for spirituality, I would say Isha Yoga Center, why not? If you're looking for wildlife, Nagarhole in Karnataka is the best place to go. If you're looking for mountains, who can compete with Himalayas, of course. So if you're looking for a cultural experience, well, I think Rajasthan is doing a good job of cultural experience. So I think I shouldn't go further than that because I can think of 100 different places, but
Thank you.
Thank you, Sadhguru. I think we touched upon through that one question that Ajay Singh ji raised. Of course, the interesting thing that came across was your curiosity as a child, and you were actually flying when you were just 12. I think that's something that should leave a seed of curiosity in all our children. Thank you, Sadhguru, for such an extensive touch that you have given to subjects. And that brings me, therefore, to the second very important aspect of our culture, the culture of hospitality that we have, the warmth that we have as a country. And I would like to bring in Ms. Ranju Alex at that point, that what do you think, Ranju, is that one key element that we can dwell on today is of utmost importance for us to take tourism forward for India?
At the onset, Sadhguruji, it's an honor to just share the same screen space with you. I can't believe my luck, and thank you, Rupinder, for this opportunity. Sadhguruji, taking a few cues from what you just said, in our history and in our culture, women have always been perceived and portrayed as the carer, the giver, and an epitome of warmth and welcome in a family. And they have always played that role of being the hostess at home. We also know that women are naturally gifted with grace and a sense of hospitality, which comes across as a
we're also okay, we're also okay.
Sure, definitely, I acknowledge that. I work with a lot of men, and I better be careful about what I say. Over the years, the modern woman has broken a lot of glass ceilings, and they have forged careers in a lot of areas that typically did not invite them earlier. Having said that, in the hospitality sector, we still have sub 12% percentage of women workforce. And we would love to hear your thoughts as to how do you think we could bring them in, both as participants in the industry and also to travel within India. So these incredible women in and being tourists in incredible India. I would love to hear your thoughts on how do you think we could advocate that and create a scenario where it's conducive, one, for their work, and second, for their travel into the country.
Definitely, I would agree with you that when it comes to hospitality industry, a woman would be far more conducive than a male person for a variety of reasons. But I think the disadvantage that… the reason why you're saying, I did not know the percentage, you're saying 12%. But when you walk into your hotel in India, most of the time you see more women than men. I don't know how it is 12%, probably across the industry it may be different. So, one reason I would say is, we have this cliched approach that if women have to be in hospitality industry, they must be young, they must be slim, they must be whatever, there are prescriptions that she must be to man's liking, essentially. So if we don't change that image, inevitably, a young woman… I know a whole lot of young women who join these hotels in reception, this, that. By the time they're 25, 30, they get married, and after that, they discontinue because maybe children or whatever. I mean, this is an important duty too, because otherwise you and me wouldn't exist if somebody didn't bear us. So, once she does that, again coming back to that, she may not be in the same physical shape, in the same level of hours to work, day and night hours to work, all this may not be possible as a married woman, as a woman with children. For many of them, their family situations may not allow that. That could be, I'm just guessing, that could be one of the reasons why young women may be there in the hospitality, but over 35 kind of women, there are less and less unless they're in an executive kind of position. And the image also about how a woman should be, that she has to be pretty, she has to be attractive, this has to go. We must be looking at a person for the services they provide you, not for how they essentially look or whatever else it is. Of course, whether it's a man or a woman, if you're in hospitality or in any place, you have to make yourself presentable, that's a different matter. But it need not… this presentableness for a woman, the standards are way higher than presentableness for a man. I think if you level that out, maybe the percentages could get a little more even. But anyway, it's bound to be less because generally hospitality work is day and night kind of work. So many women, because of families, children, I would say 10, 12 years or 15 years, they're kind of handicapped because of childbearing and those kind of stuff. So having said that, will they do better in hospitality industry than men? I think so, because it comes more naturally to a woman to be, be in that sense. Even in our homes, it's always the women folk who are far more welcoming, and this… men will ignore the guests at home. It's the women who really take care of them. So, well, increasing the percentage needs a lot of cultural changes, economic situations, family situations, how we look at childbearing, whether we look at childbearing as a full-time job or we look at it as just one more thing that you do. These things are deeply embedded in our culture, it may take some time to do that, but I'm sure it is increasingly more compared to how it was 10 years ago.
Thank you, Sadhguru. I think that was very insightful, and in fact, you touched upon, I think, something very deep-seated, as you rightly said, and it takes time, but we are proud of our women as we take our country forward, and I'm sure we shall be doing far more than what we do in outside domain. But yes, she's the Annapurna, she is the Janani, so I think those roles have to be balanced. Thank you, Ranju, for touching upon an important aspect. Sadhguru, you had mentioned about the rural part of India and how we have not been able to leverage that in the current and the past times. So on that front, I would request Ritesh to touch upon the aspect of how do we leverage the rural India, which is where India lives, the heart and the soul of India. Ritesh?
Thank you so much, Mr. Pinder. Namaskaram, Sadhguru.
Hey Ritesh,
Thank
how are
you
you?
so much. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very thankful for all of you to consider having an entrepreneur who's still in the early days of building his business here. So thank you so much for that. Honorable Minister and you, Sadhguru, have always architected and helped more successful outcomes come out of India. And one of your recent news stories I was reading about a roundtable with CEOs, where you said going global is important. I believe as a young child, when I was probably 4 or 5 years old, I had the opportunity to visit now Prayagraj for a Mahakumbh Mela. And at that point of time, I decided for myself that accommodations for the middle income in our country and across the world need to be changed. Over the years, I'm very thankful that I have had the opportunity to make a difference there, serving over 41 million people just last year and coming out as possibly one of the leading hotel chains starting out of India and now available across Asia Pacific, Europe, and United States. I'm thankful to have leaders like Honorable Minister and you here. I want to share one thing about yoga before I come to my specific question. Yoga means different things for different people. A lot of people in this call have created or have fascinating views and have made a significant difference in people's lives by using yoga. I had the opportunity to see Honorable Minister's Surya Namaskar video. I had the opportunity to see the video of the Isha Foundation. I wanted to share what yoga meant for me. Yoga, for me, something that Patanjali said back in the day, means yoga chitta vritti nirodha, which is yoga stills the fluctuations of the mind. And I have, I've spent only limited time doing yoga, but it does enable significant stillness to the fluctuations of my mind. To my question, you mentioned quite a bit of things around it already, so I will try to make sure that I can be slightly more broad-based to try and get more views of your mind, because you have very interesting ways of opinions on travel and tourism, a lot that I can tell you a lot of people in this meeting agree with. For instance, the Northeast and the Western Ghats, something that I've heard from leaders in this session multiple times, including the Honorable Minister himself, who spent quite a bit of time in the Northeast. They say that the villages are the heart and the soul of India. As we grew up, our school books and everything around us constantly said that agriculture, farming, and villages are the heart of our country. This pandemic has forced us to look inwards and explore the immense potential of our rich culture. As my friend Ajay would see, international flights will continue to be an area where people will be slightly more worried. So people will drive or fly within India a lot more. History and travel will inspire us to constantly look for the one big direction that our country is moving towards, which is Dekho Apna Desh. How can we create a sustainable tourism movement, bringing in opportunities to the farmers, the local tourists to go and see the villages and the great amount of unique cultures and beauty that our country has? You mentioned about visiting borders. I had the good opportunity last year to visit most of the borders that India shares with its countries because of my inspiration of wanting to see that. One of the places I reached right before the lockdown was Kutch. And around there, I went to a lot of little villages. And all those little villages had small homes and homestays that people wanted to host tourists in. How do you think, Sadhguru, that we can inspire a tourism movement while preserving the aesthetics and identity of India's heartland, to design this not just as a unique thing that a few people do, but really make it into a movement where Indians see village tourism and rural tourism as a critical part of their choices? Thank you so much again, Sadhguru.
Well, if you're thinking of local travel, that is within the country travel, definitely it's very doable. It's happening in a big way in Coorg, as you should know, that that's an area that's very familiar to me. But now I'm surprised all these many homes that even families that I knew in the past, they've all turned their homes into homestay kind of spaces. Home cooking and all this is very attractive. But once we attract foreign tourism to this, we must understand the high-value foreign tourist may not go to the village. They'll have their own fears about,
not just because of the virus, even otherwise, infections, this, that, hygiene, various things. So it is a low-value foreign tourist who goes there. The low-value foreign tourist, there are many complexities around that person, male or female. There are different kinds of problems with them. There is drug addiction problems which is widespread, and they will bring that thing, and they may think that staying in the village is the best thing because they will not be noticed as to what they're doing. And there are a variety of other issues that will come with it, and in the villages it could become a problem. So I would suggest that it is better we develop clusters which can be controlled. If Ritesh, I'm telling you, we've been toying with this idea, but we've been so busy with too many projects, we've not done this. But very easily, let's say we take 100 farmers in this region, Tamil Nadu, where people are far more disciplined and more alert than many parts of the country. I'm not saying this with any prejudice. Generally, they're little more disciplined, their culture is, very discipline-oriented culture rather than flamboyant culture. But still, there is many attractions here. We could create 100 farmers in their farmland, let's say they create 3 or 4, we can help them to build something which is organically built but which is safe, free from reptiles and this kind of stuff. Where if it's marketed properly, 100 into let's say 4 rooms, 400 rooms are there for experiencing Tamil Nadu's agricultural activity. We can say certain seasons, planting season, people can participate in actually planting paddy, they can see harvesting season, how turmeric is harvested. These things could become very interesting for foreign tourists. So we could market a cluster where there is some kind of filter about their behavior, about drug use, alcohol use, all these things can be controlled, because otherwise, if small discrepancies happen in the villages, they'll burn down everything. That's how things happen in the village. Or they may just… suppose somebody beats up a foreign national badly or lynch him down, if suppose he does something that's not acceptable to them, these things will very easily happen. So it's better it is a cluster that we can manage properly initially. When it grows and really everything matures well over a period of time, then maybe we can just do it freely. So like this in every state, wherever there are interesting cultural and food and other aspects, if we make small clusters and manage them well, controlled management we do so that there is a certain amount of commitment from the tourist also that he will be eco-friendly, he will not go into these kind of things that villagers may not appreciate. I think there is a great possibility. Very easily we can create a cluster around here. We've been thinking about it, but our other projects have kept us too busy that we have not done this. About India, the rural tourism, I feel initially it's best that we grow it with local tourists. Local tourists are also does not come without problems these days because alcohol consumption has become rampant, behavioral problems are there. So in a controlled way if we do it, and ecologically they are super insensitive, wherever they go they leave a heap of garbage and go, all these things can be very easily controlled. But drug addiction and those kind of problems are much more difficult to manage because they won't listen to any instruction. They will agree to everything and they'll do something else. I'm saying this from experience of people who are running these kind of institutions. It's a major problem that when you get the low-value foreign tourist, there is an enormous amount of problem associated with those people. So, if it is carefully in a controlled manner it's done, there is an immense possibility in that because every district, not every state, every district in the country has some uniqueness of culture, something to offer in terms of food, clothing, textile, variety of possibilities are there.
Thank you, Sadhguru. I think that's a very insightful and a very incisive response to your thought, Ritesh. And it also raises I would say, the flag for being a responsible tourist, viewers. So I think we must take that cue from what Sadhguru ji has mentioned on this. You also, Sadhguru, mentioned about the food of India, and I think that's where it brings me to the culinary delights that India has to offer, and therefore I would like to now invite Ranbir for his thoughts on the foods and the cuisine of India.
I am also a very good cook, so he's in competition with me.
Sadhguru, yeah, I am, here you are, I'm already… Namaskaram, Sadhguru.
Namaskaram.
And thanks to the Honorable Minister and Rupenderji for allowing me to share a screen with you. So I had a question regarding the incredible cuisine of the incredible country that we have. We have a lot of character, history, proven science behind our food. And, this time in the COVID, it sort of brought out the limitations of modern medicine. And everybody is now believing in, food as the best form of preventive medicine. And, every day, I have some business interests outside of India, some restaurants. Every day they're telling me how the world is looking at Indian food to heal, and then sometimes, because this has happened in the past, but what happens is their logic of understanding food and our logic of explaining food is very different. They talk proteins, calories, carbohydrates. The whole science, the way they understand good food and the way we explain good food is very different. Our food is more cause and effect food, and also the way it is passed down to us is not through structured education books. It's passed down to us by grandmothers who've said, have this because I say so. And you had that and it worked, and but that's a slow transformation to sort of make your food popular in a new market, in a new country. For everybody to try it and then believe in it takes a long time. So this mixture of intangible philosophy plus ancient wisdom that we have incorporated in our cuisine, which is effective, which sort of is proven over the years. And, how do we make our food marketable? How do we make our food, how do we take it out there and say, in your philosophy, in our philosophy, there isn't essentially any difference, because this is again an opportunity for us chefs to take Indian food out and make it big. But how do we bridge this disconnect? How do we bridge this disconnect and make an impact?
It is very important that we speak in modern language, otherwise to change that narrative is not going to happen in a short period of time. We have to speak in today's language. But Indian food, the variety that it has and the many nuances that are there to the food, this will be very exciting for international, culinary fans, if it is presented properly. But that's a question you're asking, how to present it, not just talking about calories, this and that. Well, it's not just about calories, but in the international arena, if you're talking about the high-end market, presentation is very, very important. I think we are a bit poor in presentation, not bit poor, I think I would say very poor, because for us, food is about taste, food is about nourishment. We don't really care how your roti is kept, all right? We just want it to be nice to eat, that's about it. So, it just came off the fire, that is important, just came off the tandoori pot, that is important for us, rather than how it is presented. They don't mind bread which is 1 month old, but presented properly. That is their way of looking at things. So this change in looking at fresh food, that Indian food is most of the time coming straight from the pan to the plate, and the significance of that, I think we need to do something about that, because that is not understood, and many ailments in the world. Particularly, I've been talking to the American audience continuously, telling them, if you stop eating this old food, when I say old food, almost anything that they buy in their… the best place you can buy today is a wholeness…
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods, I'm sorry. The best place that you can buy is Whole Foods. Even there, most of the things are a minimum 15 days to 30 days old, everything. So, just eating fresh food, what it will do to your health is a big thing. This needs to be communicated, that communication issue is there. But at the same time, I feel maybe the high-end restaurants, some of them may be okay, but my experience of restaurants may be outdated, because I'm talking about how things were 15 to 18 years ago, because since then I've not been able to go to restaurants, I get crowded in Indian restaurants, so I can't go anywhere in the world. But I'm talking about some time ago, let's say restaurants in United States or Europe, wherever you went, I think London is little better, Indian restaurants in London are little better quality. But if you go to other places, especially in US, if you go to an Indian restaurant, it's a terrible experience. Neither the taste, nor the quality, nor the service, anything is good. Service you can improve by training them, but taste-wise, if you serve something which is as good as what is served on a street-side dhaba, everybody will be glad to eat that food. But what is served in the big restaurants, and I'm sorry if I'm, rubbing you in the wrong way, any of you. For example, every good hotel that I go to in India, morning I will end up giving a lecture to the chef and the manager who is there. Because in South India, in Tamil Nadu, I'm saying, in Chennai city, you can't eat the idli. It's terrible. If you just go outside where the labor are eating on the street side, fantastic idlis he will serve. I said, why don't you hire this guy who is just standing outside your compound wall? If you get that guy, he knows how to make a idli. Now, I was in one of the major hotels in Bangalore, and I see the idli sambar is terrible. I say, who is doing this idli? And very proudly they bring the chef. I ask him, where are you from? He says, I'm from Ludhiana. I don't know if you're from Ludhiana. I said, why is this Ludhiana guy doing idli here? Why can't you get one local guy? I'm saying such simple things are not taken care of. If you look at it, except in a few hotels, even in India, the experience of a breakfast is quite… Indian breakfast is quite bad, so everybody ends up eating a croissant or a bread and butter and egg and something else, they won't eat this. But today there is substantial research and medical understanding that eating something like, let us say for example, I'm taking idli, that it's 70% carb and 30% protein, it is the best way to eat. Every research in the world says that. But we are producing golf balls instead of idlis and we expect people to eat it, nobody will want to eat it. If you eat idli in any of the Delhi hotels, I'm sorry I'm saying such things because I want them to improve. Tomorrow you will have acidity in your stomach because the batter is probably 1 month old. I don't know how old it is. It doesn't work like that. It has to be done fresh, it has to be done in a certain way, because if people want to be healthy, these kind of steamed foods which have both protein and carb is the best thing to consume. So, I think in United States, a whole lot of small restaurant owners have assumed that nobody anyway understands, so you can serve them whatever you want, anyway a certain amount of… See, when people do business for livelihood, they do it one way. When people do business because they want to create something, they'll do it another way. So this has to come. People with passion for Indian food have to take Indian food around, especially now, post this virus times, there is a certain amount of resistance to Chinese food. A whole lot of Americans will die to eat Chinese food because their own food has no spice, no any kind of, there is nothing in it, it's just meat and salt and bread, that's about it. So Chinese food has caught them so badly, they're enslaved to it. But right now, if the re-election happens, if election is not fresh, it's a re-election, I think Chinese restaurants will lose their shine or sheen in a significant way. This is a good time for Indian restaurant chains to come up. But quality must be there. When I say quality, for example, I'm not trying to promote anybody, but I'm just telling you, for example, I was to have a meeting with a man who's… I think… I wouldn't want to mention names, but he's the man who designed Lexus car, okay? He wanted to meet me because I had spoken to him in the economic forum about design so much, so he wanted to meet me. So I said, okay, we'll meet. Then I said, where is the meeting? So they gave a number in Manhattan area and we went looking, and then I see this is a Saravana Bhavan hotel. I said, this can't be, why would this American guy meet me in a Saravana Bhavan? Then I realized that's where he wants to meet me. He said, this is the only place I'll have breakfast every day. And I go there and eat whatever, that pongal, something they served. I'm telling you, they're serving pongal better than what is served in Chennai. This is what we need to do. quality. If you produce quality for the variety of foods and range of foods that we have, nobody, no culture in the world can beat this, because the variety from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, how many varieties, how many nuances are there to food. If we can manage this, preserve this and present it to the world, it is unbeatable. Young people like you who have passion for food should do it. Those who do it just for livelihood, they think they can serve anything and get away with it, which has brought an immense it has given a bad name to Indian food, because everybody thinks Indian food is lousy, because that's how it is served, unfortunately.
Thank you for the candid insights. Thank you. Thank you.
So I think Ranveer, you have a lot of homework coming from Sadhguru in what we need to really showcase to the world. And I think most of us will agree with Sadhguru's observations on how the home food or the food cooked sometimes even on the roadside is actually more authentic, and it's not, the idli is not like a golf ball. But thank you, Sadhguru, for those insights. And now, viewers, we are soon going to run out of time, and I have one very critical aspect to discuss today. We saw in the video in the beginning that Sadhguru's Isha Foundation had showed was about the inner engineering and the 112 ways to attain maximum human possibilities. Anita and I were conversing before the conversation started, and she had a lot of thoughts on yoga and what should yoga mean. So can I, Anita?
Every second place in New York has a yoga center today. Every block has 3 yoga places. I just feel it's time today to move where the young today are going to yoga more for physical, how it makes them look physically. I feel, and I don't know whether, I mean, that's what I wanted your viewpoint, is that today we need to move towards more about what yoga can do for the mind. And I feel that's what the world today needs. What are your views on the same?
Definitely, because right now, even WHO and UN agencies are saying, post-COVID, the real problem is not going to be physical health, but
it's the mind.
It's a mental health which is going to be the issue.
Yes.
And well, recently you had a tragedy in Mumbai of a young artist committing suicide. Well, 800,000 people commit suicide every year in this world, 800,000 people. This means every 40 seconds somebody is committing suicide. Well, for every person who actually commits suicide, the UN statistics say up to 18 to 20 people are attempting suicide, but not successful. If all of them succeed, then the number will go crazy. It'll go into millions of people. So why so many young people wanting to take their lives? Over 18,600 youth below 18 years of age commit suicide in India, and about 6,000 of them are below 13 years of age. Can you believe this? A 13-year-old, 12, 13-year-old child, why would they want to take their lives? This is simply because our education systems have no any kind of support for an individual as to how to manage myself, how to manage my thought, how to manage my emotion, how to manage my chemical changes that are happening in my body, you know? The chemistry, the hormonal aspects, the glandular secretions. The yogic system, one most fundamental aspect, physiological aspect of the yogic system is, it regulates glandular secretions. This is the most important thing that people generally not focused on. Today, a certain number of researchers in United States, this unfortunately has to come from US, otherwise it doesn't work in this country. Certain number of researchers from Indiana University, Harvard Medical School, Rutgers University and Florida together did a certain study on the inner engineering practices. What they found was, in 90 days of practice, the BDNF factor is threefold, that is 300% higher. If… I mean, this is a medical term, it means brain-derived neurotropic factors. This is essentially determines your experience of life, because your experience of life has a chemical basis. Right now you're feeling joyful, it's your chemistry on one level. You're feeling miserable, it's your chemistry. You're ecstatic, it's your chemistry. You're in deep agony. If it's not physical pain, everything has a chemical background to the kind of experience that you're having right now. So yogic system has an elaborate system how we can create the right kind of chemistry. Right now, you have achieved a blissful chemistry. Once your chemistry is blissful, outside situations are always going up and down. If nothing is going up and down, either you are dead already or you're on the way. If you're doing something, situations are always going up and down. If you're doing a lot of things, too many things are going up and down, all right? So when will a human being step out into the world and really want to do things, whatever they can do, everything that I can do, I will do in my life? When will that happen? Only when there is no fear of suffering. When you have this state, no matter what happens in my activity and my surroundings, my experience of life is assured that it is always pleasant. When this is there, that is when a human being will find full expression to their life, will explore the full depth and dimension of what it means to be human and what it can be done in terms of impact in the world. Everything will be done. See, in our lives, if we do not do what we cannot do, there's no problem. But if we do not do what we can do, we are a disastrous life. I would say 90% of human beings are a disaster like this because they are not doing what they can do, just the fear of suffering. What will happen, what will happen, what will happen, always. So this has to be taken… If you want to unleash human genius in this world, most important thing is your pleasantness of experience must be assured. This is the fundamental of yoga. Well, he was saying, yoga chitta vritti nirodha, this means just that whatever the fluctuations, you are free from that. Once you're in yoga, you are free from those fluctuations. Fluctuations happen in the outside situation. With all that, inner reaction need not happen. The question is, are you a compulsive reaction to the world around you or are you a conscious response to the world around you? This is the difference between a human being and other creatures on this planet. If we do not exercise this one thing, if we do not exercise this ability to respond consciously, but we are a compulsive reaction, this means we have forsaken the fantastic work of evolution which has brought us where we are. We are still behaving like creatures because they always react, instinctively react. We are supposed to consciously respond. Well, to talk about these things in terms of chemistry, the studies that were made on inner engineering process, because today this virus is a big issue, I'm saying this, 230 genes which are responsible for our immune system to function at its peak. These 230 genes were significantly elevated within 90 days of practice. That means your immune system is at its best, that you don't have to fear what to eat, where to go, what to touch, because your immune system will take care of it. Right now, when it comes to the virus situation, we have not done anything about the virus. We do not know much about it. We do not even have a treatment protocol, forget about a vaccine. The only thing we know is, if your immune system is strong, you will live, otherwise you will not live. This is the fact. So this is most important, yoga can do this. Another dimension of this is, there is something called as endocannabinoids. That means there are cannabis receptors both in your brain and in your body, millions of them. Most human beings are not able to feed them. Because of that, their entire body, on the cellular level itself, there is stress, which can lead to cancerous consequences, which can lead to mental ill health, various possibilities. With yoga, we have found with inner engineering practices, it's been well established by proper research by professors and scientists in various universities in the United States. It's properly established. The endocannabinoid secretion in the body is significantly higher. That means you are always in a very pleasant state of experience. You are blissful by your own nature. Only when you're blissful by your own nature, your innate talents can be explored, your possibilities can be seen, you will want to scale the highest possible peak. You will not see how to restrict your life, you will see how to explore every possibility. This must happen to every human being.
Thank you, Sadhguru. I think, Anita, that was quite an extensive answer in a very short time that we have today, viewers. and it reminds us just a day before the International Yoga Day, which is tomorrow, on how to delve into the inner consciousness, and yoga being not just a physical but a mental and a spiritual element, which is what we are so proud to give to the whole world. And that's what the cultural is. And Sadhguru, you have managed to touch so many aspects today of our incredible India that we are most thankful to you for that. I would request upon our minister, sir, to kindly come on web screen, as I call it these days, to share his thoughts before we conclude for the day, Sadhguru. Sir. सर आपका अनम्यूट होने वाला है। सर आपकी तरफ से माइक्रोफोन को अनम्यूट करवा दीजिए।
अब आपको आवाज आ रही है?
जी सर, जी सर।
मैं सदगुरु को प्रणाम करता हूँ और उनका आभार भी व्यक्त करता हूँ। टूरिज्म पिलर्स जितने हो सकते हैं इन सब के लिए सारे पैनल से यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं, तो मुझे लगता है कि जो प्रश्न उनके मन में थे और जो हमको भी जो जानकारियां मिली हैं, हम मिलकर एक बेहतर काम कर पाएंगे। और मुझे लगता है कि इस आपदा के बाद हम सबकी ये चर्चाएं महत्वपूर्ण होंगी। मैं सभी टूरिज्म के जितने भी पिलर्स हैं जो आज के पैनल में यहाँ पर मौजूद थे, उनके प्रति भी अपना आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ।
Namaskaram, and thank you all of you, especially Prahlad ji. In whichever way we can be of assistance to India's tourism, we are always available. Please, if you feel we can be useful, please.
Thank you, Sadhguru.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Dhanyavad Sadhguru and Dhanyavad panelists. Everybody has touched upon very crucial elements, and Sadhguru, with your blessings and with your very insightful points that you have raised on so many aspects of our incredible country, I'm sure हम सब देखते रहेंगे अपना सुंदर देश, and we shall continue to work to make sure that we bring not only ourselves to see all those little nooks and corners of our country, but civil aviation will be working with us. Ajay ji, thank you so much for taking us to lands where we could not have imagined going somewhere back in the Himalayas. And Anita ji, you have raised yoga, so thank you so much for that. Ranju, you raised the question about women. Sadhguru ji, you gave some very, very insightful things on that. And Ranveer, Sadhguru ji is giving you competition in making great food, and we really, really look forward to that. And Ritesh, you took us to so many parts of rural India, and you took us to Ran of Kutch, on which Sadhguru, in every aspect, you have touched critical elements for tourism, and with your blessings, we are sure we shall carry our beautiful, incredible India forward. धन्यवाद सबके।